Haunted places. So anybody know of any haunted places in town? Crystal Lake? Shucks, I missed that one. Princeton Street? Oh, Princeton Street. Okay, that sounds good. Anybody else? Tingsboro Road? Drum Hill? Coggers, really? Well, let me tell you about Coggers. Okay, this is the Middlesex Truant School. Okay, it was built about 1894. This is taken around 1900 because you can see the trees, the landscaping had been planted and is growing nicely. The pond is still there, but it's all eutrophied with weeds and stuff. This is Bigelow Hall, which is the only occupied building. This is Upham Hall, and this is Reed Hall. So why am I showing you a picture of Crystal Lake? And why am I showing you Cyrus Hamlet, whose great-great-aunt was his wife, and whose great-aunt was Florence Merrill? Well, I'll tell you why. Because they lived on Whiteman Street. And Whiteman Street was right next door to the Truant School. The backstory here, George thinks that Cyrus Merrill may have been a partner with George T. Sheldon in the ice house. This is the only picture that I've ever seen. If you ever see one, let me know. But it's the only picture that actually shows crews on Crystal Lake working the ice, and ice blocks over here, and the chain is pulling the ice up. Only picture. I've never seen one that shows the people. That's why I showed you this little piece of eye candy, just because. And it does tie in with the haunted houses a little bit, because this is Whiteman Street right here. Now, Florence, what was she doing with Cyrus? She was a lot younger than Cyrus, another generation apart. She was his housekeeper. Okay, Cyrus was getting very elderly. He was in his 80s here. So Florence was his housekeeper. Even when his wife was there, she was still a housekeeper. She never married. So here's an aerial view. This shows the 5 buildings, Bigelow and Gould Hall and Reed Hall and Upham Hall. And this one here could have been Ipswich Hall. I've heard 2 different names from that, for that. There's no sign on it at all. This is Whiteman Street. I don't know which number Cyrus lived on. But the question is, he lived there when this place was being built. Were there any paranormal or supernatural effects going on? We can't ask them because they died a few years back. So here is what's happening today. Okay, in 2013, a book came out called Haunted Colleges and Universities of Massachusetts. And I'll just quote it quick. I won't tell this story. I'll just quote it and let you decide. The West Campus of ULowell in Chelmsford, Massachusetts has ascended to near legendary status among the urban explorers and ghost hunters in the New England area. Today, ghostly screams emanate loudly from the abandoned buildings, and an air of sadness and pain radiates from this place. Inside, Gould Hall didn't look much different than Reed and Ipswich Halls had. Some mold, dirt, and debris, but just felt terrible. Melissa couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't alone in the building. She kept feeling fingers poking at her and running up and down her skin. At one point, she turned quickly, started to yell, convinced that a man was behind her, touching her blonde hair. So you can see in circles that believe in this. Now, I personally not a believer, but I've heard a few stories since from people that live in the new 55 and older housing that they hear strange things too. This is the back of Gould Hall that they mentioned. This is probably how the ghost hunters get in. They probably break in through one of the doors and windows back here. Reed Hall, this same year, 2013, torched basically. It was a set fire. There was no electricity to the building. It was unused. This is the demolition process here. So it was kind of sad because it was, I mean, it was a nice, it could have been, might have been used for something, but not now. Okay, this is a bigger view. You mentioned Coggers. Coggers is this area. This is Princeton Street. This is Route 4, Drum Hill. And this is Drum Hill Road, which turns into Westford Road right here at, right here at Parkhurst. Okay, this is Westford Street from here down to here. I think it turns into Wood Street. So anyway, this is Whiteman Street here. And I mentioned Dingwell Street, where George W. Merrill lived at. Well, this is Dingwell Street right here. And if you look here, this is a funny road, Carl Street. I never could figure out Carl Street until I'm going to explain to you. Now we know exactly what Carl Street was. Carl Street used to connect over here to Parkhurst Road. And then this little junction right here that's now industrial, that used to connect directly over to Dingwall Road. So that's what it used to look like. Now, here we have the over 55 housing, and their reports, because you can see how close they live. They reported hearing noises and so on. I'm a skeptic. I think because they were housing girls there for a while, troubled girls, that there may have been noises occasionally. You know, troubled people make noise. Or old buildings, you know, or trees falling. There's a number of reasons in my mind, but maybe they know what they're talking about. Maybe it's all true. So Coggers consisted of what used to be the Drum Hill gravel pit. That's what we all knew it as. And it used to be in back of the businesses here on Drum Hill. They used to be kind of a dumping ground. And it was a big pond because a fellow by the name of John Coggers owned it, and he excavated all the sand out. And it was because of his previous ownership that the kids called it Coggers. They didn't know why at the time. Just the name caught on and stuck. This is a book. This also came out in 2013, and my wife bought it for me. We read it. It's written by Norman Shaw, who grew up on this Corey Street, which is the next street over from Whiteman. Norman Shaw grew up on this street right here, and just because I can, my wife and I lived here in 1970. So we lived here in 1970 at the same time that Norman Shaw lived here when he was experiencing some of his paranormal. And I have to say, I personally didn't experience any paranormal. Maybe I was far enough away over here on Princeton Street that I didn't feel the energy coming through. He makes a pretty big claim here. That's what we were doing there on that beautiful New England night, trying to pick up on the spirit world. We were sitting in the most haunted place in North America. Now that's a pretty big claim, doing it. While you might argue with me over this and bring up other locations you've heard or read about, Coggers was the real deal. Sometimes I would see little wisps of smoke or energy or whatever you want to call it dancing about. Dave, Chris, and I had been in Coggers for about an hour or so. We had felt and sensed more in that time than most people do in their whole lives. Okay, so there's your Coggers. Now that's just an excerpt. The book is fun reading, but as an author, he's self-published. He did not have an editor, and he did not have spell check. It drove me bananas. Okay, now this is that intersection I was telling you about where, and I told you that Carl Street used to go. See, this is Parkhurst, Carl Street. It's now a driveway that goes into the Siemens parking lot, and then the entrance, the other entrance to Siemens parking lot comes out and crosses. So wouldn't you like to go back in time and see what that intersection looked like in the 1940s, would you? Sure. Let's do it. This was the house of Herman Durrell. He used to work at the Proctor Lumber Company. And his daughter, Donna Bulka, gave me a call. I went up into New Hampshire last year and picked up several. You'll find several of her other pictures in the book. I couldn't find a place for this, but I just found a place for it now, so you could watch it, because it's a real piece of eye candy. This is Parkhurst Road. This is Carl Street right here. And you go down here a ways, and then that's where Dingwall came in. And this is Drum Hill Road. And right here is the line, and this is Westford right here. So there's a nice house over here. This is where the Gulf gas station is. This is where the McDonald's is. This is Saints Memorial Health Drop-In Care. I think it used to be a Popeyes. And the Enterprise Bank is right over here. So thank you all for coming.